Morning Drive, brought to you by Bushnell Golf and the Tour X. Slope technology when you want it, tournament legal when you need it. The new Volvic Vibe, an ultra-soft tour ball for any swing speed. Feel the vibe. Skechers Go Golf, the official shoe of Bell & Motho.
And it is now 16 minutes past the hour. Happy Monday. Hope you all had an excellent weekend. And to catch us up on all the latest headlines in business, we welcome in Landon Dowdy with the CNBC Business Report. How you doing, Landon?
Hey there, LT. I'm doing well. Hope you are. Well, there could be more red arrows today for Wall Street. Futures are lower, and Asian and European markets are down sharply this morning as well. And that follows Friday's big losses in the U.S. The Dow and Nasdaq falling more than 2%. That's their worst day since the U.K. voted to leave the European Union back in June. And investors are on edge after a top Federal Reserve official hinted that the central bank could pull the trigger on an interest rate hike this month, and that's sooner than the markets anticipated. On Friday, the Dow fell nearly 400 points to 18,085. Meanwhile, Samsung is now warning consumers to stop using the Galaxy Note 7 phones immediately and exchange them as soon as possible. And this comes as more reports of the phones catching fire emerged after the company's global recall. And Samsung's moves follows a warning from the FAA, which is urging users to turn the phone off and not use or charge it during flights. Late Friday, the Consumer Product Safety Commission said owners should turn the device off and leave it off. Samsung stock taking a major hit in South Korea today, wiping out about $14 billion in market value. LT, back over to you.
Wow, Landon, thank you so much for the CNBC Business Report. More from her later as we get you over to Gary Williams on a one-of-a-kind event. Gary.
It sure is, Lauren, every year. And it's right around the time that Arnold Palmer celebrates his birthday. A lot of his friends load up on a chartered flight right here in Orlando, Florida, and they land in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. And that man greets him. Is there anything better than that? Well, someone who is going to make the trip again this year. I had the good fortune of making the trip a couple times, is joining us now via FaceTime from the tarmac, and that is Charlie Reimer. Charlie, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Gary. Just so there's no doubt who's running the camera this morning, it's me. You know me, I'm going to have some fun with the camera, but really looking forward to this day. Very, very special. That's the JetBlue. Everybody's getting on there right now. Going up, Sam Saunders is going to be sitting right beside me on the flight going up. And, of course, Sam is Mr. Palmer's grandson. And it's a really special day, Gary, and it's an emotional day. I know you've been up on the trip before, and it's just a day unlike any other day I've ever experienced. At the end of this event, over a multi-year commitment, it will have raised about $2.5 million for Arnold Palmer Medical Center.
You know, Charlie, for those folks who have not had the chance to go to Latrobe, kind of set the scene because it is very nostalgic. And when you walk in that clubhouse, first of all, you know that the man spent his entire life living in the town and growing up there. There's no place like it, is there?
No, there really isn't. And the thing about Mr. Palmer is for so many people in golf and outside of golf, Gary, he's really defined success. I'm not talking about achievement in your profession, but true success to me is when you go get back to your community. And that's very evident when you go in particular to Latrobe. And obviously he owns the club, the employees. When he's there, the emotion that flows between him and the employees, it's real. And it's almost like that Latrobe Country Club is like trapped in 1950. It's just such a special, timeless place.
It really is. You know, there's nothing like landing and getting off a plane and being greeted by the king himself. Have a great day. We know you will. Enjoy it.
Thank you, Gary. And Army's going airborne today. You might ought to rename it Army's Air Force for the day, because this plane right here is taking us right into, by the way, in Latrobe, the airport is Arnold Palmer Regional. So it's going right into the King's country today.
Yep, and I have one piece of advice for Sam Saunders. Fake like you're sleeping. That way you won't have to listen to any of Charlie's stories. Bye,
oh, he'll have to listen to them, all right.
I know, he won't have much choice. Let me send it over to Damon now.
All right, GW, thank you very much. Arnold Palmer's legacy extends far beyond the golf course in Orlando. He has changed lives and helped families in their greatest hour of need. Kelly Tillman has more.
This is Arnold Palmer's private jet. Some people really know how to live. This is Arnold Palmer's car. No doubt about it. That man has great taste.
Perhaps there is no more recognizable name in sports than Arnold Palmer. 7-time major champion, record-setting aviator, award-winning architect, groundbreaking pitchman.
It really makes the pool a self-cleaning pool.
But that name, Palmer, means even more to generations of families throughout Central Florida, thanks to perhaps his most enduring accomplishment that began with a local tour of an Orlando hospital in the early 1980s.
We really invited him just to take a tour, and he came in one day with Mrs. Palmer, and after the tour we asked him, Arnold, what'd you think? And he said, boy, I was impressed with all the people, impressed with what you do, but he said, we could do better than this for our kids.
He saw how crowded we were, but he saw the future. He saw the potential for success.
I did start in the neonatal intensive care unit as a brand new nurse out of school, and that was 36 years ago. I think we had close to 7 intensive care beds. Today we have 112.
The Arnold Palmer Medical Center was born in 1989 and has grown into the largest facility dedicated to women and children in the United States. It includes the Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children and the Winnie Palmer Hospital for Women and Babies, where Kathy Swanson now serves as its president.
Being responsible for the hospital that bears the name Winnie Palmer is particularly important to me. Our core values really come from her.
She was really the force, I think, behind so much of what you see today as the Winnie Palmer Hospital. We asked if we could put her name on the hospital because we believe it really stands for all that she was as a person.
2 of my 4 children have been born in America, and both of them in Orlando, in the Winnie Palmer Hospital. And that's a fabulous place. What he's meant to Orlando with that hospital is incredible.
Both hospitals are renowned for their state-of-the-art facilities and high caliber of care. But like their founders, it is a certain personal touch and grace that sets them apart in heartwarming and heartbreaking times.
After my water breaking at 23 weeks, 6 days, I was admitted to the hospital on bed rest. 90 hours later, Alexander was born at 24 weeks, 2 days, and they did something called delayed interval delivery where they stopped my delivery. For 10 days, we held out with our twin Sebastian, and he was born at 25 weeks, 5 days.
Sadly, Ginger Howard lost her son, Alexander, just 10 days after his premature birth. His twin brother, Sebastian, headed home after 100 days in the neonatal care unit at Winnie Palmer.
The nurses were amazing. When we lost Alexander, they stayed in the room and cried with me. I'm closer to some of them than I am to my own family and friends. They've been there with me through the smiles, the infections, the waiting on a test result. They've held my hand through everything.
Miguel and Esperanza Rivera faced a similar scare when Esperanza went into labor 25 weeks early with their daughter, Miranda.
My husband rushed me to the hospital. A week later, they stopped the contractions. She came along, and I was like, is she gonna survive this?
She was born so small, a little over a pound, not even a foot long. But hope is probably the word that best describes what this hospital is all about.
These are just a few of the thousands of stories that have made this hospital sacred ground in the greater Orlando community.
The historical perspective on golf will be very kind to Arnold Palmer, but in my opinion, that pales in comparison to the lives that he's touched and the impact that he has had here in Central Florida.
He is the king of golf, but for us, he has become the king of hearts because his legacy in golf is monumental, but his legacy from the philanthropic and humanistic point of view is going to be much greater.
You know, it's hard to imagine the game of golf without Arnold Palmer. It's also hard to imagine the city of Orlando without Arnold Palmer. Throughout this day, we'll have updates from the Latrobe Classic. What a great day for the King. And coming up next, where is the beef? right here. A tutorial on all things Andrew Beef Johnston, beef cuts, beef tips, and maybe a little dancing on a Monday. It's Morning Drive. We're back after this.